into... Okay, so the session is going to start now. The recording will get started. The online Bhaktivedanta manner, online sessions are there. So all the artis are there, all the lectures are there. So the way Prabhupada put everything together. But after every arti, we always have a lecture. So that's the beautiful part about it, where we read a lot and get enlightened by all the Acharya's words. Let's continue and conclude the Vedic cosmology and the Goloka chart based on the Shastras what we put together. So let's start with Mangalacharan and then we shall resume back and we will conclude today this presentation on Goloka chart. And from New Year, we will start a new Grantha, maybe Shri Ishopanishad. That's a beautiful, it's one of those Upanishads. Gita is also considered as Gita Upanishad, but Shri Ishopanishad is one of those top 10. Out of a lot of Upanishads, there are 108, and then there are 10 main Upanishads. And Shri Ishopanishad is one of them, which Srila Prabhupada recommended all of us to study. And it's also part of Bhakti Shastri, if we do from Gaudiya Math. So let's start with Mangalacharan. Feel free to join me, and then we shall resume back. Om. Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yudapad Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatha Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Raguna Shri Vishakha Vitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishvanu Sute Devi Karnamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudev Maharaj ki jai, Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Jai Jai Shri Radhesha. Hare Krishna. So we went through the whole Goloka chart, and then this is a presentation done by one of our very dear devotee, Ramanan Kanai Prabhuji. He is also my god brother and very learned. So he has put together this presentation. So all glories to him. Where we have gone through this Goloka chart, and there are some aspects which are not there in Goloka chart, but part of the creation. So worth mentioning. So starting from Krishna, we have Balarama, then the first Chaturvyu, the first quadruple expansion, and then Sankarshan. One is the most important one because he further expands himself into Narayan. And then Narayan further expands into Sankarshan 2. And then Sankarshan 2 further expands into what we call Purusha Avatara. These Purusha Avataras. Similarly, we also have Guna Avataras. Now, Guna Avataras are Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. So Brahma has mode of passion because he creates. And then we have Vishnu, mode of goodness because he maintains. And then Lord Shiva, who takes care of mode of or guna of ignorance. So that's the reason they all three are called Guna Avatar. What we're doing here is focusing on Purusha Avatara. And then there are three Purushas that been mentioned. Karnodakshaya, who is also Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshaya. Each universe has a one specific Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And that's the reason it says super soul of each universe, because he's the one who expands further. And then Shirodakshaya Vishnu. Shirodakshaya Vishnu is further, goes into each and every atom of that universe. So Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Shirodakshaya Vishnu. And then we move forward, we see this is our Mahavishnu, who is laying down in between. So he's in between spiritual and material world where the creation has started. A lot of Brahmans coming out of him in each. So Mahavishnu in from each Brahmand. At the bottom, we have Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Then we have a 14 planetary system. On the top, we have Brahmaji. And then in between, we have Earth, Bhu, Bhua, Swaha. And from the top, we have Satyaloka, Tapo, Jana, Mahar. And then right at the bottom, we have the lower planetary system. Atal, Vital, Sutal, Talatal, Mahatal, Rasatal, Patal. And around Patal, we have Pitraloka and we have hellish planets. So Pitraloka and hellish planets they are not in Patal, but they are in the same region of Patal. So this is lower planetary system. And this is upper planetary system. We have seen the life of Brahma in detail, where we could go from life of Brahma. We have each day's kalpa, and in each kalpa, every day of Brahma, we have 14 manus, and in each manu time period takes care of 71 Divya Yuga. Each Divya Yuga is made up of 4 yugas. And then if we go for the timing, Kalyug, Dwapar. So Dwapar is double of Kalyug, Treta is triple of Kalyug, and Satyug is 4 times of Kalyug. And Kalyug itself is 432,000. And we only been 5,400, or let's say 5,500. So a lot of time in Kalyug is still left. And then in between, if we see, we have what we call sandhyas. And this is like what we say partial destruction, devastation. It says, so partial destruction happens in between the yugas. So sandhyas are there. And then in between the manvantars. So when the one manu ends and the next manu takes over, then we have a sandhya. And then when Brahma's day and Brahma's night, then we have a sandhya. And then when Lord Brahma changes, then the whole universe destructs. Then everybody goes back into Mahavishnu and then restarts in the next Vishnu. We have gone through the name of 14 Manus. So these are the 14 Manus in our Brahmanda. And currently we are in the seventh. We are roughly in the middle, seventh Manu, whose name is Vivaswat Manu. And there are other Manus who are going to be there. All this is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, mainly in Canto 5. So there are 12 cantos in Srimad Bhagavatam. Canto 5 gives this definition very clearly. Now, Swambhu Manu, if you go back, the very first Manu, Swambhu Manu. So when Brahman started, Brahma takes the reign. So Brahma says, okay, I'm going to start. He gets very first Manu into action. That Manu got the Priyavarta. This is for our Brahman. This is very Brahman specific, just for our Brahman. Priyavarta is there. And then Uttanpad, his son, and then Uttanpad has two sons, Uttama and Dhruva. So Uttanpad had two wives, and the first one had Uttama, second one had Dhruva. This is Dhruva, who did meditation of Lord Vishnu, and later on he got Dhruva planet, and this is where Shirodakshai Vishnu stays. But what else Priyavrata he did? Remember, the whole Brahmand belonged to Brahmaji, and then Brahmaji gave it to first Manu, that you take care of it. And first Manu, Swambhu Manu, gave it to his son, but you look after it. And then Priyavrata, what he did was amazing. Of course, he had then a lot of, these are his children, and we have gone through the main, and then first wife, second wife, the main very specific thing what Priyavrata did. He had 7 sons, and the way it went through, that from Swambhu Manu, Priyavrata gave everything. This is the way it happens in hereditary system, family tradition. And this was one of those reasons or excuses Arjun gives to Krishna in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, that there are some reasons why I cannot fight. And one of them was, obviously, first thing he said, I have compassion for these. But then he mentioned the destruction of family traditions. And this is where we see the family tradition, what always used to happen. So this is the Vedic time where it has been happening. So the whole planet, the whole kingdom being passed to the next generation. And so Priyavrata to Agnidhara, Agnidhara to Nabhi, Nabhi to Rishabh, Rishabh to Bharata. And this is what we briefly saw. But so Agnidhara is going to give his part to his son. But Priyavrata split the whole Brahmand, not only earth, but the whole Brahmand into 7. And he gave each part to each son. And this is where it comes. So the way he did, the way sun goes around. Hare Krishna, Ajay
in a lot of scriptures and even on Goloka, we have seen like a number of wives for some of the entities. Is any specific reason? And because that's carried forward until like 17th, 18th century.
Yes.
Like many kings, they have many wives,
Yes.
and some of the religions still they follow the practice. So what is the logic on this?
Very, very nice, very nice. So obviously Lord Rama, when he came, he was the first one, being a Kshatriya. He said, I will declare that I will not have it. And going forward, most of the followers, most of the Kshatriyas, they decided that they are only going to have one. Now, the reason being, Kshatriya, the Kshatriya itself, the meaning is protector. So somebody who is going to protect. Now, Kshatriyas were the ones who could protect. Lord Krishna had 16,108 wives. But there was not even one wife with whom he wanted to marry. There was not even one wife whom he wanted to marry. All the 16,108 wanted to marry him. And being a Kshatriya, his responsibility was to protect. Similar thing, when here, for example, Arjun. So at the time of Arjun, he married more than one. And then not because he wanted to marry, not because he got attracted to his wives, but those women, they got attracted and then they put the proposal forward. And then being the Kshatriya, he accepted. There was one offer he refused. And that's when he went to, I think it was Urvashi, who, but again, Urvashi's offer was not to get married to him. And he said no, because Urvashi was the wife of Pururva, who was the ancestor of Arjun. So he said, I see you as my mother. So that's the reason Arjun was cursed, and Arjun became later on what we call eunuch, important for 1 year, which really helped him later on in disguise. But the main reason why then the kings, they used to get married, if in case the women, the princes, if they have heard about someone and they wanted to get married to one specific king, then if the relation is good between the kingdoms, then being the Kshatriya, the king will accept that. Right? Of course, there are many other reasons which are not so adorable. In a sense, I will give Shantanu got married to Ganga, and he got attracted towards Ganga, and that was not good. But that was the pastime, because Ganga was cursed, and Ganga was supposed to come on planet Earth. And then Bhishma came, and Bhishma was also cursed. Bhishma was one of the Vasu. Similarly, he got attracted to Satyavati, who was the daughter of a fisherman, and that was also a curse. So those cases are different. But being the Kshatriya, if you see the nice, like Bharat Maharaj, if you see, or any of the Kshatriyas who were the wise kings, if you see, they didn't go forward and said that we want to marry multiple wives. But if any proposal will come, anybody will say, well, we would like to come under your protection, then they will get married. But going forward, when Lord Rama came, because then the yuga was changing, and every time yuga changes, the things change. And when Krishna was leaving and Parikshit Maharaj was left, then also the rule changed that going forward, Kali Yuga is coming, and in Kali Yuga, we are not supposed to. Reason being that there won't be any Kshatriya left. From experience, we can say that it's hard to maintain one wife. So we can't really maintain more than one wife. Even in other religions you mentioned, in those religions also, the whole point was protection. So what used to happen, and this was also there in Vedic culture. For example, Mahabharata, it says 60 to 80 million people died, which was a high number then. It's a high number now as well. But when the men, they went and they got killed, then the women, they were still back there, right? And the women were there, and the children were there. And there was a time women, they didn't work at all, like for livelihood. So who is going to support the family? And then multiple marriages were offered, again, just to protect the society, just to provide the shelter. Similar thing in other religion as well. If there is a rich person, and if somebody poor got, for example, in Middle East ages ago, because I was there, so I spoke to many priests there. So then if there is a rich person and there is a poor person, if the poor person, the poor man died and he has his family behind, then initially the system started that the priest will go and ask the rich person that, could you support this family? And the rich person will start providing money. And this happened initially, no marriage, but the rich person will start giving the money. But because the wife was there, and later on then they realized, because the wife got or the family got money, it didn't go very well, because the the children were small and the wife was alone, and a lot of people attacked. She was not safe, she was not protected. Then what the priest did, and this is what I'm saying from other religions point of view, and this is a priest told me, that the priest said that then what we suggest, so he was saying for his own priesthood, that what we suggested, that not only that rich people, they give money to these poor family, but they also marry to these wives. So now it says that the limit of 4 is there, but there was a time there was no limit. The limit was based on how many wives somebody could provide protection, could sustain as a family, that you have enough money that you can support the family. That was all the theory behind it. But of course, what happened later on, that more than one rich people were there, and one rich person said, well, I will protect it, I will have wives. And then the priest again said it. Remember, there was a time when priests were the royal priests, were the people, they always used to dictate what's going to happen. They were the ones used to give the laws and rules. So this guy said that then we decided that okay, well, there are many rich people now. Not it's hard to decide who will marry how many. Now we will limit the number to 4. And if after 4 we need more, then we can increase it, but we will restrict to 4. And then he said slowly, 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 there was one man who was rich. Then he had 2 children, and then his money was split. And because his money was split, then their sons, they could not sustain so many wives compared to their father. And similarly, if he had more sons, then the money was again split, so they could not. Then they realized that the 4 seems to be a good number. However, again, from Vedic culture, when the Kali Yuga started, it was wisely said that this will stop, it will never be permitted. But in other religion, for some reason, they still do it. Now, whether it's been mentioned for them or not, I can't really say. But even for that, the whole purpose was the protection, giving the shelter to women. Another, somewhere else in Vedic culture, it says that the women is always supposed to be protected by father, protected by husband, protected by brother, protected by son. So whichever face a woman is always supposed to be protected. And that doesn't mean that women is weak or anything, right? There are different strengths. So there could be a muscular strength, there could be emotional strength, but there needs to be somebody else. And I think from our experiences, we can say that as well. So this is the whole point, that why those days Kshatriyas were there. And we will only see Kshatriyas used to do. Vaishyas, very rare, but Kshatriyas were allowed to get married because they could give protection. Because Kshatriyas, they used to travel a lot for the money. They had the money, but they were not there to protect their wives. But Kshatriyas were always there to protect it.
Hare Bol. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Very nice
explanation.
Hare Krishna. Right. So Hare Krishna. Welcome to everyone who has just joined. So what we are revising, what we have done in Goloka chart. Now we have reached to the point where Swambhu Manu, who was the first Manu, he got Priyavrta, and Priyavrta has a split the whole Brahmand. Remember, Brahmand is in the shape of anda, egg, and Priyavrta, it says when he was on his chariot, he roamed around the Brahmand 7 times, and he made 7 oceans or 7 lands, and in between lands we have the ocean. So Hare Krishna. जो भक्त भी हिंदी भाषी भक्त हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं, उनका भी बहुत बहुत स्वागत है. तो हम रिवाइज कर रहे हैं गोलोका चार्ट, और हमारी कोशिश है कि आज हमारा लास्ट सेशन होगा गोलोका चार्ट का. सो हम नए साल में नया ग्रंथ डिस्कशन के लिए लेंगे. यहाँ पे हमने देखा है कि ब्रह्मा जी के टाइम पे जो मनु सबसे पहले हुए थे वो स्वयंभू मनु थे, और उनके जो पुत्र थे प्रियव्रत, उन्होंने अपने चैरियट पे, अपने रथ पे बैठ के 7 हिस्से करे थे. और क्योंकि उस टाइम पे जो भूमंडल जब क्रिएट हुआ था, पूरा ब्रह्मांड, तो उस टाइम वो ऊपर नीचे था, उसको स्थिर सिंपल करने के लिए उन्होंने 7 बार ब्रह्मांड के चक्कर लगाए थे, और उसकी वजह से उन्होंने 7 अलग अलग हिस्से किए थे. So it says the way he went through, on the right we can see the sun, on the left he was there like a sun. So शास्त्रों में वर्णन आता है कि एक सन तो सन है जो सूरज देवता है, लेकिन खुद प्रियव्रत इस तरीके से, इतनी रोशनी से, इतनी ऊर्जा से भागे थे रथ को लेके अपने 7 बार, कि ऐसा लग रहा था कि खुद दूसरा सूर्य पृथ्वी के चक्कर लगा रहा है. तो इस तरीके से हमारे ग्रंथों में वर्णन है. और ये हैं जिनका हमने बात करी थी लास्ट टाइम, जो अगर हम देखें कि बीच में मेरू पर्वत है, so the Meru Parvat is there in the middle, and then next wherever we see white is an ocean. तो जहां हम इसमें सफेद कलर के सर्कल्स देख रहे हैं वो सर्कल ओशियन है, और बीच में जो डिफरेंट कलर हैं वो कलर हम देख सकते हैं कि वो लैंड है। हम चाहें तो अलग तरीके से भी देख सकते हैं इसको, कि जो वाइट है वो लैंड है और जो डिफरेंट कलर्स हैं वो डिफरेंट कलर के ओशियंस हैं, क्योंकि जो ओशियंस हैं वो डिफरेंट डिफरेंट मटेरियल के बने हैं। पर पॉइंट ये है कि अगर हम देखें अंदर से बाहर जाते हुए तो अलग 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 सर्कल्स हैं, और एक सर्कल से दूसरे सर्कल के बीच में ओशियंस हैं। So there are oceans in between lands, and this is how the whole Brahmand was split. In between, जो बिल्कुल बीच में हमें दिखता है वो क्या है? वो मेरू पर्वत है, जिसके बारे में हम देखेंगे। लेकिन अगर हम अभी देखें तो बाहर से अंदर की तरफ, so from the outer layer to inward, if we see, so inwards if we go, that's Jambu Dweepa, and this is our Jambu Dweepa. तो हमारा जो जम्बू द्वीप है वो ये जम्बू द्वीप है जो सॉल्ट वाटर के साथ में हम रखते हैं, और इसके अंदर अगर हम देखेंगे तो 9 वर्षा है, इसमें से भारतवर्ष एक है। जम्बू द्वीपा भारतवर्षा, 9 वर्षों में से एक भारतवर्ष है। तो अगर हम आगे देखें तो प्रियव्रत ने अग्निधरा को पूरा जो अंदर का जम्बू द्वीप है वो दिया था। तो जम्बू द्वीप अग्निधरा के हिस्से में आया। अग्निधरा ने अपने बाकी 9 पुत्रों के बीच में जम्बू द्वीप को बांटा, और उसमें से एक के हिस्से में भारतवर्ष आएगा। So this is how the division happened from Swambhu Manu to Priyavrat. Priyavrat split it into 7, and Agnidhara was the one who got the middle bit, the most important bit, which was Jambu Dweepa, and that remember it says Dweepa, island, and there were 9 sons, so 9 varshas were given to each sons. So each son had 1. So we are back on this. Okay, this is the one if we see. So if you see, this is Jambu Dweep now. So this is the middle bit of the whole Brahmand, and Mount Sumeru is in the middle, and we will see what happens there. But we can see rest of them. So if you go back here, all the names. So all these names, if you see, Nabhi, Kim Purusha, Harvaisha, Ivata, Ramayana, Hiranya, Kuru, Bhadra, Ketu. If we come back here, we can see all those names there, right? So Kuru got this bit. So Hiranyaya got this bit, right? Rama got this bit. Ketu, side on the left, and Bhadra on the side, Ivasta in the middle, Hari, Kim Purusha is the next to us. And then this bit right at the bottom is what we call Bharat Varsha and Anjana Bharta. This is, if you see the Himalayas we mentioned, they are also there. So it's in 3D. It's hard to imagine. तो हम देख सकते हैं जम्बू द्वीप ये पूरा जो पूरा ब्रह्मांड है उसके बीच का हिस्सा है, और उस बीच के हिस्से में अगर हम देखें तो जो अग्निधरा के 9 पुत्र हुए उन्होंने वो पूरा बीच का हिस्सा 9 हिस्सों में बांट दिया था, और हर हिस्से को वर्ष कहा था। जैसे हर एक हिस्सा द्वीप था, इस जम्बू द्वीप के अंदर हर एक हिस्से को हमने वर्ष कहा, और जो सबसे नीचे का हिस्सा है उसको हमने भारत वर्ष कहा। Now the way it goes, it says each of those, so Bharat Varsha, Narad Muni is going to take care of it, and presiding deity is called Nar Narayan from Badri Ashram, and then others are there, Kim Purusha Hanumanji, and then Rama. So अगर हम देखें तो जितने भी हमारे अलग अलग किस्म के जो हमने वर्ष देखे हैं, हर वर्ष के अंदर कौन मेन मुख्य रूप से रहेगा और कौन किन की वहां पे पूजा होगी। तो यहाँ पे हम नारायण को भारतवर्ष में सबसे ज्यादा मानते हैं, क्योंकि बद्री का आश्रम में नर नारायण, जो नर नारायण ऋषि का नाम है, और उन्हीं से नारायण जो हमारे जिनको हम विष्णु मानते हैं उनकी उत्पत्ति हुई। तो इसलिए हम नारायण भारतवर्ष में सबसे ऊपर मानते हैं। और नारद मुनि जो कि यहाँ पे पूर्ण रूप से कहीं पे भी आ सकते हैं, जा सकते हैं। किम पुरुष जो बिल्कुल हमारे ऊपर है, वहां पे हनुमान जी है, और यहाँ पर गए थे जब भीम और हनुमान जी का वार्तालाप हुई थी, तो वो किम पुरुष के पास तक पहुंचे थे भीम। हम और डिटेल में नहीं जा रहे हैं बाकी जगह, लेकिन ये सारा मेंशन है कि ग्रंथ में कि कौन से वर्ष में कहाँ है, लेकिन हम फोकस कर रहे हैं भारतवर्ष। सो द होल फोकस वी हैव इज फॉर द भारतवर्ष, and if we go further, now this is where Bharatvarsh is. So again, where we are, if we go back, so this bit there, if we see this, so this is Bharatvarsh, and now we are going to look right at the bottom of it. So बिल्कुल नीचे का जो हिस्सा है भारतवर्ष, अब सिर्फ हम उसकी बात करेंगे, और वो ये है, ये भारतवर्ष बना। भारतवर्ष के अंदर अब जो आगे डिविजन्स हैं वो हमने देखे हैं, जिसके बारे में हम बात कर रहे थे कि गर्भोदक्षाय विष्णु। So it's hard to mix these two presentations together because on one we have the whole Brahmand, and then we go forward in the on planet Earth. In engineering we say, like, we have the side view, we have the top view, and then we can clip in between. Like if the Brahmand is there, we can cut it through. For example, if you have the big watermelon, right? We can see watermelon on one side, we can see watermelon from the top, and we can cut through the watermelon and we can see half of it. And this is where the presentation is going at the moment. But here, this is what we have already discussed. But now what I will do, I will end this presentation and open other presentation, which is actually the continuation of this one. But while it's coming, any questions from anyone?
Prabhuji,
Hare Krishna Mataji.
all this is all, in my opinion, it's all looks like all imagination. It's all sort of a, does it actually exist? All these things are actually there.
I completely agree with you, Mataji, that we can consider this as imagination because we have not reached out of it yet. Like we have not gone out to be sure if that all exists. How far we can go, like we say, we have reached to moon. There was a time we could not reach to moon. And by then, moon was an imagination for us. So if I would say to my, well, I don't have grandfather or great grandfather living with me now at the moment, but if I would say to my or I would have said, then he would never imagine that anyone could go on moon because they have always worshipped moon and moon was there up in the sky. They say, well, I can go on top of my roof, but I can't go there on moon. So that was an imagination then. But later on, science progressed so much that now we can go to moon, we are going to Mars. So maybe one day we might able to get further. And because as per the definitions, moon, Mars, Jupiter's, they are very close. And rest of the bits, they are very far away. So you're right. Currently, it does look like imagination. Whether it's true or not, it's hard to say. One day, maybe, otherwise, maybe not. The only thing we could say is that there are no evidence to say that this is wrong. We cannot prove it that it's right, but we can't prove that it's wrong. And from the scriptures, there are many things which we can prove that they are right. So it's like the way I say that there's a person and we trust him. So Shastras, they are the people, or we call, let's say, consider them as the spiritual masters. The Shastras are considered as spiritual masters. They have said 10 things. Out of 10, maybe 4 things, let's say. So we can say 6 things, but let's say 4 things they have said, and we have confirmed those 4 things, they are correct. The rest of the 6 things, we are not sure. So they could be true, but the other 4 things, they have been always true. So the chances are rest of the 6 things will be true, but whether definitely they will be true, we can't really say. So far, whatever we have found in Shastras, we cannot contradict with any. That's the take I usually take.
Yeah.
But you are right, Mataji.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
But yes, it does seem like a far-fetched theory at the moment. Right, okay. So that's where we are. So in the Brahmand, if again the way I was saying, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is in Garbhodakshaya ocean, the water is there. तो अगर हम देखें यहाँ पे हमको ये पता लगता है, अभी हम ब्रह्मांड को साइड से देखने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. भूमंडल बिल्कुल बीच में अगर हम देखें स्ट्रेट, और जितने भी प्लैनेट्स हैं वो ऊपर हैं. अभी हम मेरू पर्वत देखेंगे जो बिल्कुल बीच में है. तो ये हम डिस्कस कर चुके हैं प्रियव्रत. हाँ, एक म्यूजियम बन रहा है, उसका नाम है वैदिक म्यूजियम ऑफ वैदिक प्लैनेटोरियम, Vedic Institute of Planetarium. Sorry, I forgot the name of it. It will come back, but it's based on the all knowledge given here in the Shastras, and the museum will be such that museum will depict this in 3D, so we can understand these things better. Because again, these presentations, if you see, they are in 2D also. But when we have the museum in 3D, then it will be easier for us to see. But in Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, it's been said that we have Sheshnag, and on Sheshnag we have, so when Varahadev came back, the planet Earth fell down in the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, in the water. And then Varahadev came in form of wild boar and he took them out. तो जिस तरीके से हम देखते हैं कि शेषनाग के ऊपर पृथ्वी थी और पृथ्वी नीचे गिर गई, और पृथ्वी को बचाने के लिए, गर्भोदक्षाय विष्णु से बाहर निकालने के लिए भगवान विष्णु ने एक सुअर का रूप लिया, वराहदेव का रूप लिया. तो वो इस पिक्चर में दिखता है. The way we can understand is the way the bull or the ox goes around. So this could be considered as you might have seen sugar cane or the grains. So traditionally, I don't know if it still exists, but traditionally that's the way the churning used to happen. And similar way, if we see, we have all the circles going around, and in between we have Meru Parvat, or sometimes we call Sumeru Parvat. तो जिस तरीके से हम देख सकते हैं कि बीच में हमारे, जहाँ हम देखें हिंदुस्तान के अंदर कई बार गन्ने का जो रस हम निकालते हैं उसके अंदर हम कहते हैं चर्न कर रहे हैं, और माताएं भी जो घर के अंदर जो पहले दही निकालती थी, मक्खन निकालती थी, तो चर्निंग करते थे. तो उसी तरीके से जैसे बीच में सेंटर है, उसके चारों तरफ गोल घूम रहे हैं. प्रियव्रत ने इसी तरीके से सारे द्वीपों का निर्माण किया था. बिल्कुल बीच में जो जम्बू द्वीप है, और यहाँ पे सारे द्वीप के नाम हैं, और दो द्वीप के बीच में कौन सा ओशियन है उसका नाम है. तो हम बिल्कुल बीच में जम्बू द्वीप की तरफ जा रहे हैं. ये हम देख चुके हैं, हमने देखा. यहाँ बहुत सारी डिटेल्स है, लेकिन अगर हम इसको देखने की, समझने की कोशिश करें, तो हमने देखा किस तरीके से जो जम्बू द्वीप है उसको 9 हिस्सों में बांटा गया, और सबसे नीचे जो है वो भारतवर्ष है. और अगर हम देखें तो बहुत अच्छे से मेजरमेंट्स दी हैं. यूनिट है वाई फॉर योजनास. तो योजनास, मैं भूल गया कि एक योजन कितने किलोमीटर के बराबर होती है. एक वैदिक एस्ट्रोलॉजी की मैंने प्रेजेंटेशन बनाई थी, उसके अंदर मैंने डेफिनेशंस लिखी हैं, तो मे भी अगर वो मिलता है तो अभी देखते हैं. अदरवाइज इनके डिस्टेंसेस भी दिए हैं. एंड अभी जैसे माता जी ने क्वेश्चन पूछा कि ऐसा लगता है कि ये सब काल्पनिक है, इमेजिनेशंस है. तो अगर हम वो डिस्टेंसेस को देखें तो वो डिस्टेंसेस बिल्कुल मेजर हमारे सही आते हैं. जैसे कि शास्त्रों में जो लिखा है कि सन, मून पृथ्वी से कितने दूर है, वो अब 5000 साल के बाद जब साइंस ने ढूंढ के निकाला है, तो उतना ही डिस्टेंस है लगभग, जितना योजन्स को हम किलोमीटर में चेंज करके किलोमीटर के अंदर या माइल्स के अंदर मॉडर्न साइंस ने बताया है. तो अगेन जो इंफॉर्मेशन हम वेरीफाई कर पाए हैं वो सही है, जो वेरीफाई नहीं कर पाए हैं उसके ऊपर हम विश्वास करते हैं। लेकिन हाँ, हम इमेजिनेशन भी मान सकते हैं जब तक हम वेरीफाई ना कर पाए। लेकिन बहुत हद तक हमारे हाथ में है नहीं ये चीज, क्योंकि मॉडर्न साइंस धीरे धीरे ही तरक्की कर रही है। तो हमने देखा, ये सारे हम देख चुके हैं प्लैनेट्स का, कि अगर हम मेरू पर्वत के ऊपर देखें तो वहां पे सबसे बीच में, और भी ऊपर जाएंगे तो ब्रह्मलोक है, लेकिन जो बीच में स्टार दिख रहा है वो ध्रुवलोक है। तो हम देखते हैं कि कॉजल ओशन जहाँ महाविष्णु है, ध्रुवलोक जहाँ पे शिरोदक्षा विष्णु है, सप्तऋषि प्लैनेट उनके पास में है, मून मंगल ग्रह, माउंट सुमेरु, ये पूरा जो येलो कलर का माउंट सुमेरु है, डिवाइड्स इनटू 4, इसके 4 हिस्से होते हैं। So now again Bharatvarsha itself. Now Bharatvarsha is right at the bottom. This part, the curved part. I don't know if you can see my curve, my pointer. But the bottom bit here, जो सबसे नीचे का हिस्सा है, ये भारतवर्ष है। और इस भारतवर्ष के अंदर जो ये पृथ्वी है, ये एक हिस्सा है भूमंडल। तो जो हमारी पृथ्वी है वो भारतवर्ष नहीं है, वो पृथ्वी राउंड जो है वो सिर्फ भारतवर्ष का एक हिस्सा है। तो अगर जैसे हम बात कर रहे थे कि कभी भी हम पंडित को बुलाते हैं घर पे पूजा करने के लिए, तो वो इसी तरीके से जब वो हम देवताओं को बुला रहे हैं अपने घर पे, और देवताओं को अपने घर का एड्रेस बता रहे हैं हम। जैसे अगर मैं लंदन में हूँ तो वो लंदन का एड्रेस बताते हैं, आप अपना गोत्र बताते हो, आप अपना प्लेस बताते हो, तो उसके अंदर जम्बू द्वीप, भारतवर्ष, फिर भारत भूमंडल, भारत देश, या फिर यहाँ पे लंदन के लिए लंदन देश, ऐसे करके कहते हैं। तो ये जो पृथ्वी है, जो हमारी लिमिट है एक तरीके से नॉलेज के लिए, वो उसका एक छोटा सा हिस्सा है पूरे ब्रह्मांड का। पूरे ब्रह्मांड को आप देखें तो जम्बूद्वीप में भारतवर्ष में जो हमारी पृथ्वी है, ये पृथ्वी फर्दर अगर हम देखते हैं तो भारतवर्ष के 9 हिस्से होते हैं, उसमें से एक हिस्सा हमारी पृथ्वी है। और वो पृथ्वी अगर आप देखेंगे तो सॉल्ट वाटर के ऊपर है, इसलिए हमको ये सारा सॉल्ट वाटर दिखता है, क्योंकि भारतवर्ष और किम पुरुष के बीच में सॉल्ट वाटर है। अब सॉल्ट वाटर तो हमने अभी ढूंढा है कि सॉल्ट वाटर है, 400-500 साल पहले हमारी साइंस ने ढूंढा है, लेकिन हमारे शास्त्रों में ये सॉल्ट वाटर है, ये 5000 साल पहले लिखा जा चुका है, जब वेद व्यास जी ने लिखा था। अब यहाँ हम और अंदर जा रहे हैं, तो ये मेरू पर्वत है, और ये मेरू पर्वत के ऊपर देवताओं के, जिनको हम डेमीगॉड्स कहते हैं और हम देवी देवता कहते हैं, उनके महल हैं। तो अगर कोई कहता है कि स्वर्ग कहाँ है, तो स्वर्ग वहां है, और ये एक लेयर में नहीं है। सो ऑल दीज ऑन टॉप ऑफ Sumeru Parvat, all these demigods and their residences, they are not as straight in one layer the way we see here for the pictorial presentation, but demigods, they are nearby, and Lord Brahma is much higher. तो जो जितने भी देवी देवता हैं उनके जो महल हैं, और सबके महलों का डिस्क्रिप्शन भी हमारे ग्रंथों में है, सबके जो पैलेसेस हैं उनके नाम भी हैं, और वहां पे क्या होता है उनके बारे में भी है। तो ये आसपास है, लेकिन जो लॉर्ड ब्रह्मा है ये और ऊपर है। और अगर आप देखेंगे तो जो शिव जी हैं वो हिमालय पर्वत पे हैं, और हिमालय पर्वत और ऊपर है। तो इसलिए देवी देवता जब भी जाएंगे वो पहले ब्रह्मा जी के पास जाएंगे, आसान है ब्रह्मा जी के पास जाना, और फिर वो आगे जा सकते हैं हिमालय पे शिव जी के लिए। और अगर उनको गर्भोदक्षाय विष्णु से मिलने जाना है तो फिर उनको पानी में नीचे जाना पड़ता है। तो अगेन जिस तरीके से हमारे शास्त्रों में डेफिनेशंस आती हैं हम वो देख सकते हैं। यहाँ पे कौन सी डायरेक्शन में ब्रह्मा जी के ब्रह्मलोक के कंपैरिजन अगर हम देखें, कौन सी डायरेक्शन के अंदर किसका महल है वो भी दिया है, ये भी हमारे शास्त्रों के अंदर बहुत क्लियर दिया है। और किसकी नगरी, पूरा पैलेस कितना बड़ा है वो भी दिया है। So,
Prabhu,
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, we have got lot of Matajis in this people's worship. Lots of Matajis, like what I would say, like Amba Mataji and Durga
Yeah.
Mataji. So where are they in this demigods area? Where do they
Very good.
reside?
Yes, Mataji, usually all the goddesses, they are with someone. So when we got Durga Mata, Durga Mata was actually created. Durga Mata came from, well, initially Durga Mata. So if you remember, when we did the transition, we did the Mahavishnu. From Mahavishnu, we got Rama Devi, who is Lakshmi Devi. From Lakshmi Devi, we got Durga Devi. So Durga Devi is actually with Shivji in Himalayas. And all other Devis, they are the manifestations of her. So in Durga, when we do the Navratri, we pray to Goddess Durga, but each and every day or every night belongs to one goddess. From Durga Devi, so Durga Devi took form every day, every night. Durga Devi got one specific form, and that particular form has a name, that particular has a feature similar to Lord Vishnu. He also have taken different incarnations, and each and every have different forms and different features. So similarly, Durga Devi herself is with Lord Shiva. And so this is, remember, we call it Maya Devi, and she is Maya. We call it Devi Dham, and she is Devi. She's sustaining it, but she's there whenever she needs to, she manifests further. But Markandeya Puran also mentions that when Durga Devi was supposed to be required, then Brahma, Vishnu, and Shivji, all three, they gave part of their own, like the feminine form of from each came out, merged together, and that became Durga Devi. And then any other feminine manifestation required came from Durga Devi. So that's how Durga Devi came into existence, and that's how all the goddesses come from Durga Devi herself.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. But these demigods, they have a specific purpose. So we call Indra. Indra is the leader. Kubera is the treasury. Vayu for the wind. Varun for the water. And Niritti, we also say for the death. Yama is the one who takes care of it. Agni, fire. So each one of them, and they are also placeholder. तो ये सारे के सारे जो देवी देवता हैं, ये नाम है, और जब भी जरूरत पड़ती है वो भगवान, जो यहाँ पे ब्रह्मा जी चलते हैं, तो ब्रह्मा जी किसी को नियुक्त कर सकते हैं. So Brahma ji could decide who will be next Indra. Lord Vishnu can do, but Brahma ji is usually the in charge here. So Brahma ji इस तरीके से decide कर सकते हैं कौन से पद पे जाएगा. So this is what we have seen already. Okay, so there's a mention of what we have already seen, who lives where, and we have already seen this in Swarga. So we started from Bhuvarloka, place of enjoyment for Yaksha, Rakshas, Pisacha. So if we see between Bhur, which is earth, Bhur, Bhuva, Swaha, Bhuvarloka, Raksha, and Ghosts. So it says that people from Swargaloka, they enjoy in Swargaloka, but they also come to this place to enjoy. But Rakshas and Ghosts are there. The spirits are there. So Bhuvarlok is Prithvilok. Bhuvarlok जो है वो हमारी पृथ्वीलोक है. स्वर्गलोक जो है जिसको हम हेवन मानते हैं वो है. लेकिन जो बीच का हिस्सा है वो ऐसा है कि स्वर्गलोक से काफी लोग वहां पे आनंद मनाने के लिए आते हैं, हॉलीडे पे आते हैं. लेकिन वहां पे राक्षस रहते हैं और स्पिरिट सोल्स रहती हैं वहां पे, जिनको हम जब कहते हैं कि अगर हमने पिंड दान नहीं किया तो आत्माएं, जो आत्मा होती है, उनको अगला शरीर नहीं मिलता किसी वजह से. और माने 10 साल तक नहीं मिलेगा, तो 10 साल तक वो आत्मा कहाँ रहेगी? वो आत्मा भुवर लोक में जाके रहेगी। जिनको जैसे हम श्रीमद् भागवतम में शुरुआत में कहते हैं धुंधुकारी एक हुए थे, गोकर्ण के जो भाई थे, तो उनको जगह नहीं मिली थी, तो वो यहाँ जाके रहे थे भुवर लोक, और फिर वहां से जब उनको जरूरत होती है वो नीचे आते हैं पृथ्वी लोक पे। इसके बीच में बहुत ज्यादा डिस्टेंस नहीं है, तो इसलिए काफी जो घोस्ट होते हैं, घोस्ट अब कई बार पूछते हैं जैसे बच्चे की भाई क्या भूत होते हैं, तो अगर हमारे वैदिक कल्चर के हिसाब से कहें तो हम भूतों को मानते हैं, हमारे शास्त्र, लेकिन जरूरी नहीं है कि जो भूत है वो प्रेत आत्माएं जो हैं वो खराब ही हो, वो गलत ही हो। हाँ, ये जरूर है कि क्योंकि वो शरीर के बियॉन्ड है, तो उनके शरीर नहीं है, तो इसलिए उनके पास में बहुत सारी पावर्स होती हैं। क्योंकि हम शरीर में बंधे हैं, तो इसलिए हम वो चीजें नहीं कर सकते। अगर हम चाहें तो दीवार से नहीं निकल सकते, वो क्योंकि हमारा शरीर है, हमारा शरीर दीवार से अटक जाएगा। लेकिन क्योंकि उनके पास शरीर नहीं है, वो दीवार से निकल सकते हैं। तो वो जो गोस्ट हैं वो यहाँ पे हैं। दिस इज व्हाट बीन मेंशन हियर, the place of enjoyment for yaksha, rakshas, pishacha, ghost, and so on. And it extends down as far as the wind blows and the clouds float in the sky. So the mention, the way it goes is okay. Antriksh is there. The sky between the heaven and earth is Antriksh. अगर हम देखें भुवर लोक से हम ऊपर जाएं स्वर्ग लोक की तरफ, तो लगभग 11 किलोमीटर के अंदर मानते हैं हम। पृथ्वी के ऊपर अगर 11 किलोमीटर से ऊपर जाएं तो ग्रेविटेशनल फोर्स कम होने लगती है और बहुत कम हो जाती है, तो वहां से स्पेस शुरू हो जाता है। वो जो स्पेस है, ये मॉडर्न साइंस के हिसाब से है, वो जो स्पेस है उसको हम शास्त्रों के हिसाब से अंतरिक्ष कहते हैं। वो जो अंतरिक्ष है, और हम हिंदी में भी अंतरिक्ष कहते हैं, वो जो अंतरिक्ष है वहां से जब तक स्वर्ग शुरू नहीं होता तब तक जो हिस्सा है उसको हम भुवरलोक मानते हैं। तो ये बहुत दूर हिस्सा नहीं है, इसलिए कई बार ऐसा वर्णन आता है कि यक्ष जो है वो नीचे आ गए, बहुत इजी है उनके लिए पृथ्वी लोक पर आना। स्वर्गलोक, स्वर्गलोक द हेवन, 33 करोड़ देवी देवता जिनका वर्णन आता है, तो उनको हम इंग्लिश में डेमी गॉड्स कह देते हैं, वो स्वर्ग में रहते हैं। और स्वर्ग में वो आत्माएं हैं जिन्होंने अच्छे कर्म किए और वहां पे वो उनको भोग रहे हैं, लेकिन वहां से उनकी मुक्ति नहीं होगी। मुक्ति लेने के लिए उनको वापस पृथ्वी लोक पर ही आना होगा। महर, जन, तप, ये तीनों ही बहुत अच्छे सिद्ध ऋषियों मुनि की जगह हैं, सिद्ध, तो वो वहां पे रहते हैं, ये हम देख चुके हैं। सत्यलोक, हमने ब्रह्मा जी की बात करी। सो दीज आर हेवनली प्लैनेट्स। तो ये जो है ये हेवनली प्लैनेट्स हैं जो ऊपर हैं। अगर हम बहुत अच्छे से अपने शास्त्रों की कहानियां देखें तो गोलोका चार्ट के हिसाब से वो सारी कहानियों बहुत अच्छे से उनकी सेंस बनती है कि चतुर कुमार जो थे, जो तपलोक में होते हैं, वो विष्णु भगवान से मिलने के लिए वैकुंठ में गए। तो किस तरीके से गए, वहां पे उनकी जय विजय जो उनके द्वारपाल हैं उनसे मुलाकात हुई, कैसे मुलाकात हुई, उसका पूरा वर्णन वहां पे है। तो जब हम गोलोका चार्ट को समझ लेते हैं तो ये जो पास्ट टाइम्स हैं वो हमारे लिए समझने थोड़े से इजी रहते हैं। सो दिस इज what we see from the side, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, then the Ananta Shesha, and then lower planetary system. They are in the earth, so inside the earth, inside the material, but upside in the sky above Antariksh, we have the upper heavenly planet. Now, the name of the elephants we saw before, the names of those elephants are also given. तो हमने जो elephants देखे थे उनके भी नाम हैं, वो भी हमारे शास्त्रों में हैं, जिसमें से एक है पुंडरीक, वो काफी उनका वर्णन भी आता है। तो अगेन ये सारे जिस तरीके से दी हुई हैं डिटेल्स हमारे शास्त्रों में, तो पृथ्वी है, पृथ्वी के नीचे 16,000 योजन अगर हम जाएं तो वहां से नीचे के लोग शुरू हो जाते हैं। अब 16,000 योजन हम पृथ्वी के अंदर अगर हम जाएंगे, अभी तक हम जो भी गए हैं, तो वहां पे इतनी गर्मी है कि हम सस्टेन ही नहीं कर पाते। लेकिन अगर उसके नीचे तक हम जा पाए तो फिर हमको अतल वितल सुतल तलातल महातल रसातल और फिर पताल तक हम जा पाएंगे। और फिर 28 हेलिश प्लैनेट्स जो हमने डिस्कस करे वो और नीचे हैं। अगर हम ऊपर की तरफ जाएं तो फिर हमको हेवनली प्लैनेट्स मिलने शुरू होंगे। तो ये डिस्टेंसेस भी दिए हुए हैं, लेकिन मॉडर्न साइंस की मदद से भी हम इतने डिस्टेंस तक अभी तक पहुंच नहीं पाए हैं। तो ये दिक्कत हमको है। अगर हम पहुंच पाए तो शायद हम ये देख पाए, और अगर हम नहीं पहुंच पाएंगे अपनी लिविंग मेमोरी के अंदर, तो शायद भगवद गीता चैप्टर 16 चैप्टर 18 में भगवान ने जिस तरीके से कहा है कि तीनों गुणों के अंदर पृथ्वी चलती है, तीनों गुणों के अंदर हमारा शरीर, हमारा मन, हमारी बुद्धि चलती है, तो उन गुणों के हिसाब से अगर हम कार्य करें, तो अगर हम तीनों गुणों से ऊपर ना जा पाए तो एटलीस्ट हमारे पास चॉइस है कि हम सतोगुण तक पहुंच सकते हैं। So even if all this would look like imagination, which to very great extent it is still in chapter 16 and chapter 18 of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna has mentioned to Arjuna that things, or almost everything in material world is there in three modes, which is mode of ignorance, mode of passion, and mode of goodness. So even if we will, the whole purpose is to go beyond all three modes. But even if we won't able to do it, at least what we can do with this understanding of Goloka chart, that we can try to be in mode of goodness. So the heavenly planets, they are in mode of goodness. Of course, people in heaven, they might be very much engaged in self or sense gratification, but beyond them, they Jan Tap Mahar, they all are self-realized. So we could reach to that level. Not that we would like to go to those planets, but we can achieve their consciousness. And Amrish Maharaj, Bharat Maharaj, they are the classic examples. There are many more. Dhruv Maharaj, Parikshit Maharaj, they were the kings, and they managed to do that on planet Earth, so we can do that. तो हम गोलोक चार्ट से जो नॉलेज लेते हैं, उस नॉलेज से हम ये समझ सकते हैं कि अगर हम जाना चाहें तो हम कॉन्शियसनेस अपनी इंप्रूव कर सकते हैं, हम उस कॉन्शियसनेस तक पहुंच सकते हैं। जैसे कि अमरीश महाराज थे, जैसे ध्रुव महाराज थे, परीक्षित महाराज थे। इन लोगों ने पृथ्वी पर ही रह के गुडनेस, मोड ऑफ गुडनेस के अंदर कार्य करने सीखे थे। तो हम अगर बियॉन्ड गुडनेस ना जा पाए तो एटलीस्ट मोड ऑफ गुडनेस में रहने की कोशिश कर सकते हैं, ताकि जब हमारा नया जन्म हो तो भगवान जैसे कहते हैं अंत काले चमा मेवा, जो अंत काल में मेरा स्मरण लेता है वो मेरे पास आता है। तो एटलीस्ट अगर हम भगवान तक ना पहुंच पाए तो एटलीस्ट हम लोअर प्लैनेटरी सिस्टम में ना जाएं, अतल वितल सुलात वहां ना जाएं, हम कम से कम महर लोक, तप लोक, जन लोक तक हम जाएं। और ये भी भगवान ने कहा है कि अगर किसी की भक्ति अधूरी रह जाती है तो अगले जन्म में उसको अच्छे परिवार में, ब्राह्मण परिवार में, या एरिस्टोक्रेट फैमिली में, यानी बुद्धिजीवों में, जो ज्ञानी जीव है उनकी फैमिली में मौका मिलता है। और फिर उसके बाद उन्हें और मौका मिलता है कि वो अपनी रुकी हुई अधूरी भक्ति को पूरी करके मेरे पास तक आ पाए। So this is the whole purpose behind the discussion on Goloka chart, which we conclude today. Thank you so much for being with me, and I hope I managed to do some service. It's a great, very well detailed topic which we can discuss for many sessions. But at some place we have to draw the conclusion. So today, and I'm glad that we have gone into a lot of details. Now when we will move further and we will read Srimad Bhagavatam at some point, then all this knowledge will be very useful. तो हमने अभी तक जितना भी पढ़ा, वो जब हम आगे और शास्त्र पढ़ेंगे तो ये नॉलेज वहां पे और क्लियर भी होगी, वेरीफाइड भी होगी, और उस नॉलेज से हमको आगे के ग्रंथ पढ़ने में, समझने में बहुत सहायक होगी। तो मैं आप सभी लोगों का धन्यवाद करता हूं कि आपकी वजह से मुझको ये सेवा करने का मौका मिला। Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudev Maharaj ki jai, Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna, great service.
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, wonderful slides today. At least getting to know some wonderful slides today.
Thank you, Mataji. This is all from Ramanand Kanai Prabhuji. I will share the slides with you if you like, Mataji. They are really very nice slides.
Yeah, lovely.
And the recording is also there. Now, going forward, we will see. We will hopefully do Shri Ishopanishad from next Saturday.
Yeah. Thank you.
And,
Excellent.
it will be great to have every one of you. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Sangat
Krishna,
pranam.
everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna ji. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. Hare